Welcome back, boat lovers. Well, last week might have been Elton John, I'm Still Standing. I think this week might be Metallica,
Enter Sandman.
Okay, so still hard at it. Got my air blower on here. To help keep the dust down while I'm sanding.
Hello boat lovers, welcome aboard. I'm Steve and I'm single-handedly building Dragonfly. She's a 53 foot or 16.2 metre flat bottom wooden riverboat. She includes twin outboards, aft cabin, galley, a saloon, wheelhouse, separate head and shower, and a centerline queen double up front. She's specifically designed for the sheltered and inland waters of the River Murray here in South Australia.
Join us each week to watch the mayhem and madness of one man and his rescue dog building a massive 53 foot flat bottom wooden riverboat. Actually helps quite a lot, even though I'm wearing a mask and all the other gear. So I'm working my way through the wheelhouse. I've already done the front cabins, which I'll show you later. So here's a little bit of finish with some varnish on it. So that's my nice satin varnish. A little bit dark in here, I'll adjust the light in a minute. But that's where I'm up to with sanding on the roof. Hopefully you can see that. So it's got a coat of epoxy on it already to seal everything. And then I'm just sanding everything ready for its coat of satin varnish. I'm using good old Marine International Gold Spar marine varnish, and I have to say it's an oil-based product, and it is going on beautifully and making a lovely result. So today, trying to get the wheelhouse done. I don't think I'll get any varnish on here today, but the plan is get the wheelhouse sanded, and there's a few little spots, little nail heads or screw heads, gaps here and there that I need to fill, and then I need to let that dry right off, touch those up with a bit of sandpaper, and then get the varnish on. So I'm assuming I'll be varnishing tomorrow, which is Friday. Sorry about the noise of that blower, should have turned it off, I suppose. So yeah, I'll be finishing sanding the wheelhouse today, hopefully get a bit of filling in there, and I'll be varnishing it either tomorrow or on Monday. Alright folks, thanks for watching. Enter Sandman, back into it.
Sandman.
Well, boat lovers, I think you've probably just seen a couple of minutes of footage of sanding, but so far that's taken me nearly 3 hours. I had a short break in the middle and I've got a little bit left to do, but I'm really pleased with the progress. And if I can hold the camera up, because my arms are killing me, I'll show you how much I've done and what it looks like before I wipe all the dust off. Because most of you guys probably know when you sand epoxy or anything else, then you've got to wipe it off with a damp cloth or a cloth that's dampened a bit with acetone, whatever, just to get all the dust off. And of course a vacuum is really good as well, using a vacuum cleaner to get all that dust off. Anyway, I am talking to you because I need a break. So come into the wheelhouse and I'll show you the dashboard area, which is nearly finished. I'll show you the center of the wheelhouse, which is all sanded, and the back of the wheelhouse, which I've still got to sand. All right, so I may have shown you before. This is the front area. So that's got one coat of epoxy and 2 coats of International Gold Spar satin varnish. And the dashboard at the moment is all gloss because that's got 2 coats of epoxy on it. I've got some screw holes to tidy up and put some little filler bits in there to make it all look neat. And then I'm deciding whether I leave this as a gloss hard surface dashboard or whether I finish it off in satin as well. Not sure yet. Anyway, we'll point the camera up at the roof and show you all the kind of white sanding bits. Here we go, up above me. I think you can see that. So yeah, that's all just sanded out with that little Azito sander. And look, it is doing a great job. It goes through the pads very quickly because, of course, where the pointy part of the sander is to get into the corners, that wears that pretty fast. And one of you guys suggested a dual action sander, and yes, fantastic, but really expensive. And I'm making do with my 6-inch orbital sander, Makita, which is doing a great job on the big flat surfaces, and this little cheapie for all the little corners and nooks and crannies. So, I mean, if I was doing this full time as a job, sure, I'd have a DA sander, dual action, but you know, mega bucks, and I have to be realistic because I have to save some pennies to fit this boat out. Okay, so anyway, enough whinging about money. This is the sanded part, and then turn the camera around. Hopefully you can follow my ugly head around here. So this is obviously pre-sanding. It's got a good thick coat of epoxy on there to seal all the timber, and I'll sand this back as well. And then you see there's a join here that gets covered up with a fascia strip later on across here, but I won't be putting that on until I've framed this door out, and then the piece will go in between here, so that'll finish off that nicely. I wasn't going to have wheelhouse doors, but I think I will. They'll only be 300 wide each door, like saloon doors, and they'll just open back, which would be nice. I think sometimes, you know, you might have people down there resting or not wanting to be disturbed, and I can be in the wheelhouse driving the boat or doing whatever, and it makes a nice break between the front bedroom and where guests might be staying. I've also come with me down here, and the last couple of days I've also put some first coat of epoxy on the bench top surfaces down here. So again, we're a little bit lacking light. I'll try and pick some that have got light on them, some natural daylight. So there's one, needs sand of course, that's just the first coat. And then into the kitchen bench, or galley bench. So galley bench, nice hard epoxy surface on there. And that's actually 2 coats. And then again, I've got to decide whether I keep these as a gloss finish or a satin, because all the woodwork trim is going to be satin, all the bright work. And I'm thinking, do I want bench tops that are all kind of glossy, or do I want them to be kind of subtle and a little bit softer? So they'll probably end up satin, who knows. If I swing the camera around, here we go, point it down with a bit of luck. Here's the cutout ready for the kitchen sink. So that's all coated as well. And this little bench here. Now, a couple of videos ago we were talking a lot about gas, and I was really thinking hard about the best approach, and I've gone with all sorts of ideas, but after speaking to the professional gas man who did his almost as old as me, and he did his apprenticeship on gas on boats, and that's all he does, so he knows them really well. And I don't know about in the States and other countries, but the regulations are pretty strict here in Australia. And for example, your gas bottles, fairly standard, need to be in their own enclosed compartment with a vent at the bottom that vents out away from any ignition points. So these bottles are going to be here, and the vent is going to go through the bottom of that compartment out through the side of the boat, and I'll have a little inspection hatch to be able to get to those fittings. We also have to have only annealed copper. That's copper that's been heated up and easy to bend, so it's not brittle. So all annealed copper tubing, and no compression fittings, only welded fittings. And then the copper has to be lagged in a wrapping that covers the copper pipe to stop it corroding. Now, in this case, of course, this is a riverboat, and we're not going to get corrosion on copper. However, we follow the code to the letter and make sure that's all done properly. And then, of course, all those joints get pressure tested, etc. And then on the inside where our appliances go, we've got the fridge here, and then the stove over here. Now, both those units need to have a sensor which goes to a automatic solenoid gas shutoff. So that will be in the main line that comes in, and there's only one solenoid shutoff on the main line, but there's two sensors. So there's one sensor under the stove, one sensor under the fridge, because as you know, gas goes down to the ground. So if there's any leak at all from either the stove or the fridge, the main line gets closed off automatically, whether we're on the boat, whether we're asleep, whatever. Then there's the hot water service, which is gas, but that is on the outside of the boat, not on the inside. So the pipe will go through the gunnel and straight in up to the hot water service, and the bottom of that hot water service will be completely sealed, and all the venting goes outside. So the other things that to make this gas compliant inside is venting. So we need top and bottom venting. So this door here that's going here is considered an outside door, and that will have a vent in the bottom to let air in. And then above the fridge and above the stove, we will have a vent there, just to let airflow come through. I mean, common sense tells you that if it's a warm day and you're going to be cooking in here on a gas stovetop, you're going to have the windows open and lots of airflow. But nonetheless, you know, perhaps in the middle of winter, freezing cold, everything closed up, you've got to make sure that there is adequate ventilation in case there's perhaps a gas leak that's not detected, and we don't want to suffocate ourselves or poison ourselves. So very strict regulations, and I take notice of all your comments about the dangers of gas on a boat. And as I've pointed out before, I've had boats for well over 30 years, many boats, and nearly all of them have had a gas system on them, similar to what's on this one. One of the reasons is because I like to use gas instead of battery power. I like my creature comforts when I'm away, and so long showers, cooking. My wife's, my wife and I like to entertain, and we'll have the gas stove going or the oven, do all that sort of stuff, and so gas is great. But yes, I really take notice of all the dangers and all the points that people have made, and I am definitely all about safety. And as I say, all my boats over the last 30 years have had gas. I've never had an issue, never even to a point where an automatic shut-off has closed the gas off, because I keep everything up to scratch and up to date. And of course, you need a professional gas fitter, not just a household gas fitter, but a gas fitter who is up to date with all the marine codes to make sure that the gas in the boat is fully compliant and safe. That being said, I'm going to finish sanding that last little compartment on the roof, and then I'm going to have some lunch. If I've got the beans after lunch, or beans and lunch, if I've got the energy after lunch, I'll finish the rest of the sanding in here. Not that there's much to do, I might be able to finish it before lunch, but then I'm going to be heading up about a 30-minute drive to buy some more varnish and some epoxy containers and things like that. Anyway folks, I'm probably rambling because I'm exhausted from doing this. My shoulders and arms are tingling at the moment like pins and needles, but I think I've got enough energy just to finish this last bit, and then I'll have some lunch and I'll see you when I start filming sometime after that. Good morning again, boat lovers. I thought I'd better give you guys a catch up as to what I've been up to. I've been very slack and haven't done much filming over the last week, but I've got lots of work done on the boat, so I will give you a little bit of a tour of what I've got done. Here we go. Up the ladder. So I have just about finished sanding and varnishing the wheelhouse. So I'll just adjust these lights so we can see a little bit of the finish on that. Wow. Alrighty, I'll turn the camera around and give you a bit of a look. So there we go, got the roof all done, all the front of the dashboard area, and I've also put framing around the door. You can see that frame around there ready to hang some doors on. And I've also decided what to do about the sole, or the floor if you like, of the boat. I could just leave it as plywood and paint it or put carpet on there, but I wanted something a bit nicer than that. So I have decided to do a strip plank floor, a little bit like a holly floor. So I'll give you a look at how I've started that as well. Here we go. So that's the look that I'm going for through the boat. All right, so you can see my hatch cover there, which has been sanded, and then the floor in front of that, which hasn't been sanded yet. So I think that's going to come up okay. So I spent a lot of time trying to work out what timber to use for the floor, something that was affordable, obviously a hardwood, something that's not going to have much movement to it, and that was readily available. So I looked at a whole lot of different timbers and different suppliers, and then even though it's a hardwood, I sourced this timber through a business in South Australia called Softwoods, and they were advertising Kapur garden screen slats, which were lengths of Kapur which were 65mm wide and 14mm deep, and they were really affordable because they were already sort of made up in slats. And to my surprise, they had them in 4.8 metre lengths, among other sizes. So I went and had a look, and they're great. And so that's what I'm doing for the wide strips. Kapur, which is a sort of brown, tiniest bit of red in there, but really just brown, as you could see from the floor there. That's the colour without being varnished or sealed, and that's how they look when they're sealed. So that matches in with the rest of the boat quite well. And then for the thinner strips in between, I'm using Tasmanian oak, which is a sort of a dull white timber, off-white, and that gives us a good contrast. So that's what I've gone for. Now the oak was really hard to find in 12mm by 12mm, which is the size of the strips that I want. So what I managed to do was buy 3 metre lengths of 12mm by 30mm, and then I cut those strips down the middle on the bench saw and just slide them through the thicknesser. And because they're thin, of course, they just go through very easily. And that gives me my 12mm by 12mm strips to go in between the Kapur. I'll show you the Kapur lengths and the oak strips. But before I do that, I'll just give you a squizzy down in the front of the boat, because I've finished all the varnishing down there as well, and that's actually just about ready for painting. Here we go. Well, I can't go down there because I've got no steps at the moment, Well, I can, but I'll just have to climb down. Bear with me a second. Alrighty, so I've just clambered down there. Steps are not there at the moment, of course. That's how the floor is going to look. I'm really pleased with that. Okay, now here's the bedroom. Pretty much ready for painting. So all the edging has been varnished, 2 coats, and all the plywood in between all sanded down, ready for painting. And if I can get this light working, here we go. Here we go. So that's the toilet area with the bench in place for the vanity. All the trim varnished, all the beams up the top varnished. So that's really quite some progress. After all that sanding, it's great to get a coat of varnish on everything, and using the satin, it really does look nice. So really pleased with that. It's a bit hard for me to get back far enough to show you the finish. Okay, I'll show you this Kapur and the Tassie oak that I'm using. Here we go. I'll flip the camera around, give you a little squizzy at that. So there's my lengths of Kapur. They're 4.8 long. And then there's my Tassie oak. So you can see the contrast between those 2 colours. So that's the width that I get the Tassie oak, and then I cut it down through the middle and put it through the thicknesser. Even with the Kapur, it's 14 mils thick, and I put that through the thicknesser to bring that back to 12 mil. And you may have seen in a much earlier video, I was using a DeWalt thicknesser, which was great, but that was borrowed from a friend, and I finally bit the bullet and bought a thicknesser for myself. And I'm not doing very much work with it, so I thought I'll just get the little Azito. I think $399. Here it is. And I have to say that it is doing a fantastic job. Super easy to use. I think it does the same size, up to the same thickness timber as the DeWalt and some of the other brands, but about a third or half the price, and a slightly larger watt motor. The DeWalt has a 1800 watt motor, and this has a 2000 watt motor. I don't know if that makes much difference, but nonetheless, it's working really well. I just put the Kapur through in one go, and it's just taken them back to size beautifully. So, boat lovers, that is the update for today. And apart from that, I'm off to the doctor's this morning because I have the massive, serious problem of a splinter in my finger. Now that sounds ridiculous, but I managed to get the splinter out, and right in deep there must be the tiniest little bit left, and I cannot get it out. I've been trying for 2 weeks, and so I've got a little lump on my finger where the splinter is, and it's healed over. I've tried to dig into it a couple of times, and I cannot get the remains of this splinter out, and I don't want to get it infected. So I'm going to go and see the doctor this morning and see if they can attack me with the scalpel and a pair of tweezers and get this really annoying splinter out of my finger. Anyway, so once I see the doctor, I'll tell them that they can perform major surgery and try and get this splinter out for me. A bit embarrassing really, because it just, well, I feel a bit silly going off to the doctor just for a splinter, but I can't get it out, so best that they get it out for me and avoid any infection or anything like that. All right, boat lovers. Well, I think that's it for this week. As usual, thank you very much for watching and leaving comments. I love the comments. I like, you know, interacting with everybody. And somebody suggested I put a compilation playlist of the videos together. I'm not exactly sure how to do that with my lack of tech skills, but I'll have a look at it, see if I can do that when I get time. Thanks for all your comments and taking an interest and all the suggestions that you make. Alrighty folks, I guess that is it. We'll see you guys in another week or so with another video. Take care, boat safely, and we'll see you guys soon.